Hello, what you're about to witness is going to be a love affair between man and stone and razor. Will there be hatred? Will there be blood? Or will there be cooperation and ecstasy? Follow me now to what I call the honing zone. The name of this video is called the most comprehensive honing video for beginners. Now, I've been out there, I've seen videos, and I just think that someone can do better for the beginners, and this is my attempt at such. First thing I want to do is introduce all the stones that I have, tell you what you need to do for yourself to begin with, and then you could build on that. But right here I have my 1000 grit king stone. The next stone is this is a natural stone. I believe it's a natural stone. Anyway, the next stone that I have is the 3000 grit super stone, and it's a synthetic stone. Both of these are on their own bases. They're stuck on there pretty good, so that's good. But this is a 3000 that I'm buying, or that I'm showing you right now. The next stone is the staple of the entire honing community, in my opinion, is the Norton 4/8 stone. I'll get back to this one. The next stone I have is the 12,000 grit Naniwa, and that's also is a synthetic stone. The next stone that I have is the 12,000 grit Chinese natural with a slurry stone. The next stone that I have is oh, here it is. It's a 20,000 grit Suehiro. This is a really nice stone. Nice package too, by the way, huh? So I use all these stones in my, well, let me correct myself. I will definitely use the 8000 grit, 12,000, 12,000, 20,000, and if I like the edge, if I like the way it's building, if I think I have a good edge, I'll use my white lapping sheet, which is a 0.3 micron to finish off that razor, and that I always get a good finish in that progress, or procession, however you want to say it. So the 1000 grit I don't use very much. It's used for setting a bevel on a razor that has absolutely no bevel at all, like a gold dollar, or just a razor that's just kind of beat to hell. Or if you see my last video, how to fix a chipped and beat up edge, that's where you use this 1000 grit kingstone. From there I would proceed with my 3000 grit, and you know, I just wonder about this because and I really should check the scratch patterns, but this is a really smooth stone as compared to the 4000 grit. The 4000 feels a little bit rougher to me. From there I'll go to the 8000 grit. This is the Norton, and this is where I start doing my polishing. When I start doing the polishing, what I'm looking for is for my scratch marks from the previous few stones to start to disappear, and they will disappear. The next thing I do is I go to the 20 or the 12,000. But what I think is a good two stones for a starter are these two stones here. The Norton 4,000, 8,000, and the 12,000. Those are really good starter stones. This one, this Chinese stone, is a good finished stone too. It was very inexpensive for me. It came from Poland. I got it for like really cheap. It took about a month to get here though. This one right here is going to cost you probably the most money. I won't dare tell you how much I got this for, because people aren't going to believe me, but I guarantee you this: I got it for half price, free shipping. Okay, so those are the stones that you're going to need for your honing. What else I have out here is a lapping stone that you can pick up anywhere for about 26 bucks, and it's really a good tool to have, and I only use it on my lower grit stones because they're softer, and this will leave some. This is a very hard stone. It'll leave you know, some deep scratch marks in whatever you use it on. But I always finish up with probably like a 600 grit sandpaper just on these here. So that's what I do there. But whenever you buy a lapping stone, you need to check it for trueness. And I always use this combination square, and I just put it, and I just go right along it just like that, and I hold it up and look for daylight. And one time I really was having a hard time, and I didn't realize that I kind of needed to relap my lapping stone, and I was trying to figure out how to do it. I tried a belt sander, it was just too much, and so I ended up just going outside and finding a flat piece of sidewalk and just get the sidewalk wet and just go back and forth, and came back in and checked it, and it was perfect. So that's what you do. But always check everything. You want everything to be freshly honed, okay, or freshly lapped, because you know, you don't, everything that you put on your stone is going to translate into your blade, good, bad, and ugly. Okay. So that ends this part of my little segment. So let's continue on, shall we? Okay, I just finished lapping my 20,000 grit, and I also lapped my two 12,000 grits, and I also lapped the 8,000 grit. Those are the stones that I use for polishing, and I want them to be in the best possible way that there is. What I did here was first I started off with the 6,000 grit, or 600 grit, then I moved on to the 1,000 grit, then I moved on to, this is the 1,500 grit, and all this thing is, it's kind of cheap, but it works well. It's a basic sanding block, and somebody might have seen me make this. I put it on a video, but I checked it for square and it wasn't as out of whack, so I made a form and I poured some Bondo in and I sanded it up. It's nice and smooth and flat and everything, and it works extremely well. But I do the same progression through all of these stones. Now what I do is I get my stones, and I just basically spray water on them and get rid of all the contaminants on that stone, okay? And then I'm going to get my 12,000 grit Chinese natural and do the same thing, get all this water out there. And this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to just sit here and I'm just going to polish this thing for probably 10 minutes, just like this, back and forth. And what this does is each stone is polishing each other. So what we're looking for is the finest possible finish on each of these stones. So this is how it's done, man. You know, this works extremely well. and you know, my stones are always flat. So I'm going to put this aside for now, and I'll finish this up in just a minute, because I want to show you what I do to lap my lower grit stones. Now, these are my 2 lower grit stones along with the 4000 grit. I'm going to leave that in the water. This one's already honed. I'm just going to show you on that one's already honed. I'm just going to show you what I do with the 1000 grit. Okay, now I usually do this under running water, but just basically go like this. Okay, if you don't have one of these, that's cool, because it's, you know, things are easy to make. You know, a guy who hones razors is a guy who loves to use his hands, and this is what I do. When I first got my 20 grit, I ran this thing exactly like I would a softer stone, because I needed to hone it. I needed to lap it very well. All this is a 1x4 piece of glass put over it. I have sandpaper that ranges from 220, 320 to 400, right? And all I basically do is I get this right in the sink at this angle. I wet the glass. I wet this side, make sure there's no junk underneath it. Put it here, wet it, squeeze all the air out, and I just start going, right? And I go from 220 to 320 to 400 grit, and I rinse everything off really good, because you really don't want particles from a 1000 grit to be on your sandpaper when you're trying to do like a 4000 grit. It's just, you know, be clean about it. Try to separate everything really well. From there, I usually don't do anything more. But the only control that you really have is the pressure, because you have to understand abrasives, and you have to understand what they do to a surface. Abrasives will put small scratches in your surface, and if you press really hard, it's going to, the scratches are going to be deeper. So you kind of just at the end, you know, just kind of press kind of light. You just go over it. You know, another thing that you can do to make sure that you have a good flat surface, and I'm not going to mark up my stones right now, is you score it with this pencil. You know, and then when you sand it, you can see what part is getting sanded and what part isn't. Okay, so that's a good indicator there too. So anyway, that's lapping. I don't think I missed any other detail that I do. So we'll just go ahead and move along, and if I think of anything else, I'll be sure to mention it to you. Tools and equipment. What I have here is a nice sturdy little plastic tub, and what I did is I got some of this rolled roofing that I have on the tabletop, and I glued it here because I like to, when I reassemble razors, I like to have a little platform, but it's got a double purpose, and I'd like to have things like that. What this is a nice little tub to put my oversized, it's too big, oversized piece of block here. And what this does is it allows me to put stones up here, and allows me the elbow room because it's nice and high. It's a good level, and also it's a good thing to have, because I like to spray off my razors after each stone. So like I said, they don't want to contaminate one stone grit with another. So that's what this is. Okay, and this is something that came with that Suehiro. It's a 400 grit. So I don't ever use it, but it's a good thing to have anyway. The next thing you need to have is a pair of scissors and tape, so you can tape spines as you see fit. This right here is just a 1/2-inch piece of marble that I use to determine if a razor's got a twist in it. This is very, very good for determining that. What I have here is a couple of looms. Now this, I just bought this one. It's a 400 grit loom. It's got a nice light. It's really nice looking, really nice to hold, but it's a pretty sorry piece of shit if you ask me, because you know it's a 40 times magnification. You can't see near as much as you can with this little dandy. And this one right here cost me about $2 from China, and that was free shipping. It took about 3 weeks to get here, but this thing is great. It's a 60 times Anyway, this is a 60 times magnification, and the light is almost out. This came with batteries. I went to go replace the batteries. It cost me almost $18 to buy, but I didn't buy them. But you know, this is a great little tool. This tool right here outshines this one like 100-fold. Now this one here is so great because you can actually see a really good a picture of a scratch pattern on your razor. This is a tool to have. I'm going to put a link down below so that you can see. Actually, I was looking for one today. There's a guy that sells them like back east somewhere. So this is a great little tool, man. That's about it for tools, I believe. Would like to probably mention that if you are going to hone razors with a scale on them, because I do a lot of razors without scales because I'm looking for people to buy them, and I want them to choose their scales if they want to. But make sure your scales are tight so that it's not going to just flop around on you. You want it pretty tight, because when you start to work it, you do not want that handle being in your way. So what you use is just a basic ball peen hammer, and you know, if you've seen my pinning video, you'll know you know where I'm coming from with that. So stick around. We're going to hone this beautiful double duck here in just a minute. So be right back. Okay, welcome to the honing part, but first I want to back up for a minute and mention a couple tools that I forgot. You need to get you a couple tubs like this, and they come with a lid, and one's for the wet stones and one is for the dry stones. Usually I keep all of my stones, like this one here, wrapped up in a towel or a little cloth to keep it cushioned. But this water here, just fill it to where it's going to cover, add just a little taste of bleach on it so the water don't get funky, and you're ready to go. The other tool that you're going to need, we're going to use it right now, is a broad tip Sharpie. So I haven't looked at this blade yet under the glass, but just from experience I can tell you right now that the edge is very, very thin, and that's what you want. Oh, and by the way, this is the high techie part of this whole thing, and this is the absolute most important part about honing, is determining where you're going to start and what condition your blade is in. Okay, now this doesn't have a twist in it. I don't buy blades with twists in them. I'm sick of dealing with blades with twists in them. But I can look at this. I can look at this edge and I can see some pitting from whatever. But the edge is very, very thin. There's just a tiny bit of spine wear, and so I have some tape on here. And you got to understand this. This is very important that you do. Is that this razor is made so that the spine is to set on top of the honing stone flat, and your edge will be translated according to the condition of the spine. Okay, so what I'm doing to save myself some work and some possible heartache is I tape the spine, and I'm going to put one more layer on it, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to determine how much of that spine is actually missing. So if I put on too much tape and I find that the edge that I'm putting on here, the new edge, is too narrow, then I know I can take off a piece of tape and probably be pretty safe about it. Okay, but if I were to just hone this thing to see how it was going to go with no tape on it, then I'm going to have a really ugly edge there. Okay, and that's just not going to be cool. Now, the way that I put on tape is real simple. You know, you can do it any way you want. The important thing is that it's kind of even on both sides, and that there's no wrinkles and no bubbles. You leave a wrinkle or a bubble in your tape, and that's going to translate onto your edge. I guarantee it. You may not be able to see it and identify it, but I'm going to leave this tape a little bit long so I can pull it off. Now, let's see. As we're honing, you got this part of the razor right here that has a shoulder, and you don't want to hone over that. So I'm going to show you how to get away from it. If you have something like a gold dollar, you need to grind that shoulder off, man, because it'll just give you, you know, it'll just be in your way the whole time. So anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look at the edge, and I'm going to determine what I'm going to do with this edge, what stone I'm going to start with. I see, it just looks like it's been abused just a little bit. It's really no problem with this. I think I'm going to start with this one on the 3000 grit. So let me move my light down, and that is one thing that you need to have too, is a good bright light. Hey, check me out. This was 16 years ago. I actually hand did that with a watercolor, and then I took it over and had it printed, so I have a durable copy of it. Anyway, so yeah, let's get rid of that 1000 grit. Now, one thing that you need to do when you're looking at your razor is you need to see the scratch pattern on it. So when you go to work it, you can actually determine what's new and what's not new. This one here is kind of funky, but so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this broad pin, this broad tip Sharpie, and I'm just going to go right on the tip, and I'm going to stain just the very tip of it, tip of that edge, just like that, and make sure it's all covered, because you need the information. Now, well, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to basically just run this over the stone 10 times each side, and then I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to see, do I need to take off some tape? Do I need to add more tape? Am I jacking up the blade? Is the whole blade hitting the stone except for the tip? You know, what's going on with it? That's my whole thing right now, is to decide what is going on with this blade without causing it any more trauma. Okay. Now always make sure you always get your stone wet and wipe off any dirt and dust and crap that's on there. Okay. So let's just go for it. And I'm going light. I'm not pushing down at all. Because like I said, this blade actually looks very good. And I always spray everything off like this with my fancy little sprayer. And I wipe it off. And I'm going to just look at it. Just without using the glass, I can tell you right now that I made a good decision to put it on 2 pieces of tape. Because all of the ink is gone. The edge is still very fine, and I'm on the right track. Okay, now if you didn't have, I'm looking for my guinea pig razor is what I'm looking for. Can't find it. If you just went for it, like I said, without making any determination, without putting on tape to try to protect it, you know, take your time with this stuff and try to understand what's going on with the blade. Okay, if your blade is not touching on the very tip, and when you hone it, you just need to just push on the tip ever so slightly, and do some more and see if that's enough. Check it again, stop what you're doing, check it enough, and over time you're going to build up a good feel for this stuff. Now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to set the bevel, and it's there already, you know. It's not quite there, but man, it's biting. You know, it'll just, if it bites your nail, it doesn't want to slip off your nail like that. See that? Then you know your bevel is coming along really good. .30. Now see how I got it at an angle, okay? Now what's happening is I'm keeping the shoulder clear of the edge of my blade, or my stone. Okay, that way all of your blade is in contact with the stone, and you're not going to, you know, put an unsightly scratch marks on your shoulder. I don't suggest you go that fast, because you need to get a feel for it. Just kind of go back and forth. You could do that, but you don't need to go that fast. But all I'm doing right now is I'm just making sure that I have an even bevel on both sides of this razor. I'll do like 10 or 15, okay? Now I'm going to skip through a couple of stones because I already have a good edge on this thing. I can tell you right now. Now see, just feel that razor. You know, yesterday I was doing a razor and the tip just felt like it was just dragging, and I couldn't figure out what it was. I didn't see anything. But feel your razor. Take your time and just get into what you're doing, man, because the more you concentrate and understand and watch and observe, the more you're going to learn. And that's what this is all about, is learning how to hone. You know, for you beginners out there, you got a whole bunch of stuff to learn and a whole bunch of stuff to discover. And you're going to have failures and you're going to have successes. And I'm going to tell you right now, add tape to everything until you can see what's going on with that edge. I cannot emphasize that enough. I've ruined a couple of razors. That's why I have guinea pigs around here, because I ruined them. And because they look fine, you know, you may think, oh, this is a good razor, just go for it. But you know what? You can really make a mistake and end up costing yourself some money. Okay, so I'm going, pressing a little bit hard. I'm going to do 5 light, because remember, this thing is putting scratches in my edge, And now I'm trying to remove those scratches because I know I got an edge, and it's all set. This thing is just going to shave like a dream. This is going to be just like that other double duck I did that I just sent out. And that thing, I was shaving at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'll tell you what, if my wife wasn't sleeping, I would have been hollering and all happy, man, because I'll tell you what, this is what I like to do. I like to mess with razors, and I like to shave. And that's it. Now, look at your tape. Spray it off. Look at your tape. Now, if you don't have a tub like this, that's fine. Make sure you have some rubber thing, a floor mat or something like that that'll hold water, and just use that and then wipe it up. But sometimes I'll keep a bucket down on my side to do this. Now my tape, now this is real important too. You know, if your tape is wore out and you don't catch it and you move on to the next stone, you're might have some problems later on. This tape looks pretty good. A little bit of wear on that one side. I'm going to keep going though for a little bit. I'll just watch it. Remember, rinse off all your stones before you put them away. Now the next stone is going to be my Norton 4/8. I'll start with the 4 first. Oh, make sure you always rinse it off, man. You don't want any junk on there. If you're honing and you feel junk on your razor, then stop and clean it. You know, always have something soft to put your blade on too. Don't just set it on the hard surface. Have something soft like this. You can just, you know, set it down on. Okay. So this stone here, like I was saying, feels a little more coarse than the last stone, which was a 3000. So I'm going to go just a couple light strokes like this. Now what I want you to do also is I want you to glass your razor every single time you switch stones, because I want you to see the metamorphosis that is happening with your edge. That's really important, because after a period of time you're going to be able to determine what's happening with your edge. Now that's what I'm going to do, because after I glass my edge, I'm going to check it again and see how much of the scratches I'm taking out. Make sure there's no junk on your razor. Well, that edge is nice and fine. It's not often you find those except on brand new razors. This is an old razor. So, okay, this is my polish stone. So I'm going to do 60 on each side. Moderate pressure. Now I want to check my tape first. Yeah, I'm going to replace them both. So Okay, I just retaped my razor, so I owe 20. Once again, I'm trying to create and ensure that I have an even bevel on each side. This hand right here is really nothing more but to keep it aligned and to keep it from tipping up. But there's no pressure on this at all. Remember, I am polishing right now. Alright, that's it for this one. Always put your stones away clean. And a lot of times I'll lap them too, but I've already done 6 honings today. I got some more lined up, but I wanted to do this video while I had a chance because I was talking about it. So, alright, this here is the hold on a second, let me set myself up here. I want to create a slurry on this stone. Not sure how to explain how a slurry actually works, but you're free to research that on your own. Remember, everything clean. Okay, and all I do is just, now if you do this, hold on to your stone because it'll come flying off there, because it'll create a suction. Now, the whole thing about this slurry is to keep it on your stone. So hone accordingly. I'm going to do 60 with this one. And I'll fast forward so you don't have to sit here and watch me, but you know, feel your razor, man. Just feel what that thing is doing. And you know, you can stop and look at it, and I really think you should use every opportunity to look at your razor so that you can just really get a feel for it. Now, this razor here is a simple razor, just like the other double duck I did yesterday. It's a simple razor. I mean, it took nothing for me to get a edge on it. A lot of razors are not like this. I'm not going to get into how to deal with warped blades or anything like that. This is just a basic understanding that I'm giving you. And I think that the high techie part I was joking about was I got that from Penny on Big Bang Theory. Anyway, that part there, just understanding your blade and how to read it, I'm telling you, I can't tell you enough probably, that is the most important part ever. Because without that, you're not going to know where to start or what's going on. You're just going to fly by the seat of your pants if you don't understand where to start, and that's how you hurt razors. I'm doing really super light strokes on this. Lost count. I was going to do 60, so I'll do 15 more. Now go slow. Don't go too fast. I can go pretty fast, and I'm trying to go slow, but I don't want this to be a long video, which it probably already is. But now, what I do next is I wash up the stone, apply some fresh water, clear water, and I'll give me like 20. Super light, and this is going to make a big difference in your edge. when you have a narrow stone like this and you go at this angle, make sure you keep it perfectly flat all the way across. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the film. I'm going to go ahead and progress through the 20K, so I'll be right back. Okay, this is the 12K. Keep your stone wet. I'm doing 40. Okay, now I'll move on to my 12K Chinese natural. Okay, I just finished doing 60 passes each side on my Suehiro 20K, and it's so important that you go really light with this particular finishing stone, because you want that nice, super sharp edge. You can accomplish this with a 12K almost, but the 12K is something that you could use temporarily, but you have to know how to strop too, and when to strop, and how much to strop. After I get done, I strop on some nice flat leather using a paddle, like 5 or 6 times on each side, and that's all I do. Because remember, you know, this razor is going through a big process to get to the point where it's going to shave, and it's got the finest possible edge. Now, during the process, I forgot to tell you something, and don't stick it on your fingernail to check it, because you might hurt the edge, but just feel with your fingers. This thing is a sharp mother, man. I can tell you that right now. So this is what I'm going to do next. I love those little double ducks, man. They're so easy to hone, and they shave so well. And not only that, but they look great. So this here is my lapping film. It's a 0.3 micron. It gives the ultimate edge, supposing, of course, that you're coming along to what I do is I spray both sides. I don't want any junk on it, and I want it wet. But if you get a speck underneath this, it's underneath the film, by the time it translates to the surface on the other side, it's going to be a big bump. So I go like this, and I kind of feel for things as I'm going, but I'm also pushing out the air. So re-wet it, get my razor, spray it off again, and the first pass is going to be very slow, because I want to feel if there's anything underneath there. If there is, take it up and spray it off again. Now I go pretty fast with this one, but I recommend you don't do this at home, because if you stumble and you tip that blade like this, you know, you could cut the hell out of your finger, ruin your blade, ruin everything. $50. Just, you know, move this thing around to where it's easy for you to work. I'll give it like 10, 15, maybe 20, like this. See, this is where having a tight scales is really crucial, because if your scales were moving around, then you just will constantly be fighting it. And you don't want something like that. What you want to do is you want to be able to concentrate on what you're doing. This edge right now is so sharp. And I'm going to take the tape off. I'm going to spray it off. Get that out of my way. That's another thing that you want to, is make sure you have ample room. So I'm cutting into my towel a little bit, so let's see what we got here. Okay, what I'm seeing, oh man, I wish I can put this on film. This edge is thin and perfect. Got a superior polish all the way across on both sides. This is like the easiest blade to deal with. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to strop it. And same thing with this, is a piece of 1x4. You guys probably might have seen my video where I made all this stuff, but it's just a piece of 1x4 I made a handle on and put a Bronco strap on there. It's got the nice perfect cowhide on it. This side's got suede with some chromium green, but I never use it. I wish I didn't buy it because it's kind of in my way, because it still rubs off, you know. But all I do is just 5 flat. And as you progress, you want to be more and more careful, because especially if you got a really good edge going, because you don't want to do anything to jeopardize that. So that's good, just like that. This thing right now is shave ready. This razor right here will impress anybody who uses it. This is a sweet razor, and it's for sale. If anybody wants to buy it, it's for sale. Anyway, this is Guy Solis. Thanks for watching. I hope somebody learned something, and I appreciate your feedback. Y'all take care, right? All right, bye.